True fans live for their team. For those true U of A fans, there is Hughes Federal Credit Union. Show your U of A spirit and put technology and convenience at your fingertips. Hughes Federal Credit Union. Smart choice.
Welcome to Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Hughes Federal Credit Union. I'm Star Sports Editor Ryan Finley here with Greg Hansen. Greg, some horribly sad news this morning. Michael Wright, a starter on Arizona's 2001 National Championship final team, has died. We don't have a lot of details outside of the fact that New York police say that he was found underneath some trash in the back of an SUV. A tragic end for a guy who I think you'd agree was probably one of our all-time favorite guys.
You couldn't get two words out of Michael Wright, but he was a class act, wasn't he?
He was.
Just a heck of a guy. You know, he averaged 15 points a game over 3 years, started every game here, and was just, I thought, underappreciated.
Completely underappreciated.
If you had a guy like him right now, he would take you. Of course, he took him somewhere then.
Right.
But he would really take you somewhere now.
Sure. This was a game that we used to play sitting around and watching basketball when I was in college, which is, if the 2002 team had Michael Wright, they would have won a national championship.
Yeah.
Instead, he left school a year early, was actually drafted in the second round by the New York Knicks, did not make the team out of college, went overseas and was a very, very successful player in Turkey and Poland, a bunch of other places. I mean, he had won already. He made a lot of money doing what he loved to do.
Yeah, and you know, he was such a remote kind of a character that people didn't get to know him. Even the coaches really didn't get to know him. Jim Rosborough was telling me this morning that basically I recruited him from start to finish. I had his parents out here when he was a junior, his mom out here when he was a junior. He said, I really didn't get to know Michael Wright. He was just so quiet.
Wow. You know, some of that must have been from his surroundings. You know, he grew up on the south side of Chicago, went to Farragut Academy, the same school that produced Kevin Garnett. I mean, you were telling me a story off camera that at some point he was shot at when he was in high school.
And it hit his friend in the heel, the bullet did, just coming out of the gymnasium one day. Jim Rosborough told me when they recruited him, the in-home visit with loot, that they didn't go to his mom's house because it was a risky area. So they went to the high school coach's house. And he would never talk about that when he was here. We had more access to talk to players then. He just didn't open up. That's the kind of guy he was. You know, I looked it up today. In his career here, they played against 26 teams that were in the top 20, and they won 17 of those games. Wow. He was always in the middle of big-time stuff.
To me, when I think of Michael Wright in life and in death, I think of his matchup with Mark Madsen at Stanford. Madsen had a couple inches on him. Madsen had a reputation, at least among Arizona fans, for being, shall we say, a little dirty.
No, he's a Mormon kid.
He's a coach now.
Yeah.
He's teaching people to be dirty.
Yeah.
He was a guy who seemed to always win those battles. Nobody was tougher than Michael Wright. And when Madsen, you know, tried to engage him and tried to get into him, I mean, that was a showdown for the ages, I always thought.
If I put down the top 10 moments of U of A basketball that I witnessed in person, he is in the top 3 on that. They beat #1 Stanford at Maples, 76-75, I think, when he made a layup between the Collins twins at the buzzer.
Right.
The Collins twins, they're 7 feet.
7 feet tall.
Michael Wright was probably close to 6'6".
Yeah.
But he was just a warrior.
One of the things that, we were talking about this off camera too, Michael Wright was listed 6'8", 6'7".
Yeah.
He was 6'6".
Yeah.
I'm 6'3". He wasn't that much taller than me. He was a legitimate power forward in an era where everybody had 6'8", 6'9" power forwards. I mean, Stanford had, you know, Tim Young at center at 7 feet, the Collins twins, all these guys.
Curtis Borchert.
Curtis Borchert. This is a guy who played, I mean, like he was 3 or 4 inches taller than he really was, and he was just going to out-tough you and out-hustle you. I mean, he was Rodman-esque, I thought, in his ability to get the ball, to rebound, and to finish inside of 5 feet.
He would draw so many fouls. I should have looked it up, but he's probably in per game free throw attempts, probably first or second in school history. He was just not unafraid.
Sure. I remember too, is he would go up, initiate contact, get whistled, and then, you know, left-handed. Yeah. He'd kind of do, on his way back down, kind of do that. And it always seemed to go in. He was, I thought, a unique player, a special player. And the guy who in today's era of college basketball, Arizona would not recruit a 6'7" power forward. Arizona might not recruit a 6'7" 3.
Right.
It just shows how times have changed.
You know, if you ask me, my one memory of him, it's a different one. He got a 10-second violation call shooting a foul shot at Pauley Pavilion one day. He just didn't get phased. He's sitting here dribbling, and the ref's counting. I've never seen that called ever, except that day, and it was one of those tight finishes at Pauley, and he's just dribbling. They called it. They still won the game.
To me, what's incredible too was, you know, his freshman year, he got, remember, he stepped over the line in an NCAA tournament game against Oklahoma. For a lesser player and a lesser person, that could have been his defining moment as an Arizona player. We've seen players come through Arizona who are known for that one thing. You know, Jamel Horn, other players like that. That could have been it for him. And yet he became, I think, one of the most underrated basketball players in U of A history.
And part of it was because he was there during a period of personalities like Jason Terry, Gilbert Arenas, Lauren Woods, Luke Walton. I mean, you almost didn't think of Michael Wright, but he was the rock.
Right. You didn't think of Michael Wright until he left.
Yeah.
And sadly, he has left now, and it's a good time to think about him. Please read more about Michael Wright and his career in the pages of the Arizona Daily Star and on Tucson.com. That'll do it for this episode of Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Hughes Federal Credit Union. For Greg Hansen, I'm Ryan Finley. We'll see you next time.
True fans live for their team. They buy the gear, they order the tickets, they pay for the seats and the experiences. For those true U of A fans, thankfully there is Hughes Federal Credit Union, offering the latest payment choices such as U of A debit cards, paying online, paying a friend with Pop Money, or using Apple Pay with your mobile phone. Show your U of A spirit and put technology and convenience at your fingertips. Hughes Federal Credit Union. Smart choice.